the impact of discrimination and racism on mental health of people.
Discrimination harms the sense of self of the young person.
Racially motivated attacks and threats that were caused by skinheads movement.
Nobody thinks about actually including these young people.
Nobody asks Roma how do they feel on emotional level. How do they feel? You know, just simple question.
Why are we here today?
I'm here because I'd like to present the results of my research that I conducted in Czech Republic, and it is related to the impact of racism on mental health of Roma. And you? Why are you here?
I am actually very excited to talk about the same topic in a maybe a little bit different angle. I don't know, because I was also involved in a project where we also had a similar research and other parts of the project to see the impact of discrimination and inclusion on the well-being of young Roma. So I think this will be a very nice conversation, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to learn from your research.
I am looking forward to learn from your both research and your background, because I'm a youth worker.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily work on directly with the mental health or well-being of young Roma in the same profession as you would do. But I think I still have some sort of responsibility towards my young people that, yeah, I'm working with.
Okay. And I am psychologist, but not just psychologist. I am also lecturer. I provide lectures related to the topic, you know, how to be an anti-racist, what is the impact of the racism on mental health of Roma. And this is something what I think that we have never been talking too much.
Yeah.
And not just even among Romani society or among Romani activists or organizations, but also on the academic level. That there are just few researchers that were oriented on that special social determinant, which racism is, related to Roma. So that's why I wanted to go into the topic, and I conducted this research in Czech Republic, as I already mentioned. And maybe I will share some just short results of that research that I did a qualitative research. So we conducted 2 focus groups with Roma people from all Czech Republic, half women, half men, different ages, different backgrounds. And what was really common for all of them is that most of them experience racism since childhood, since the time when they enter the school. And usually it's connected with the calling, calling Roma gypsies, calling their using this racial slurs, and all of these things. And for most of them, it was the first experience that they realized that they are somehow different from the rest of the children in the schools. And they usually said that nobody has prepared them for that, that they are going to experience such a things. And what also that they were mentioning that there were not enough support from the authorities or even from the children in their schools. And yeah, and so they experience this from the childhood till now, and they were talking about many experiences that they had at schools, at work, on the streets, in public places, while shopping, also with the communication with institutions, but also with the police, many experiences. But the results shows that most of the Roma are experiencing racial stress, which is visible like that they feel anxiety, especially when they are going to have a contact with the majority people, They anticipate discrimination on everyday level, in public spaces, at work, at school. They also feel like a deep sadness and disappointment related to the behavior of the majority society. And some of them feel like a very strong anger, which is very strong emotion. And if you are full of anger, it has an impact not just on your mental health, but also on your physical health. And many Roma also avoid different places. Like they don't go to some special places because they anticipate that they will face face some kind of discrimination, but also they also avoid opportunities that they could have, but also they avoid like contact with majority people, and they usually, if they have a lot of experience like that, they usually close themselves within the families, closest friends, and they do not expand outside the world. So yeah, just shortly about the impact of racism on mental health of Roma, and later on I will speak about the coping because there are also some positive things.
Yeah, no, there are positive things. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just and tell me what was your
what I would
research
add
about?
actually is super relevant, and I think I will take it a little bit further because the research, like the things that you are focusing on, the impact of discrimination and inclusion on the well-being of young Roma. Yeah, but we had this research project, like a project started with a research on multiple countries. We had Greece, Germany, North Macedonia, Serbia, Romania, and Turkey. We tried to balance it out a little bit, some Western Balkans, some European Union countries, plus Turkey, and tried to select where Roma population is higher compared to the general population. So our results say the same thing. So discrimination, because discrimination and social exclusion is a daily basis issue these young people are having, for example. And then there are a lot of different coping mechanisms where also majority would consider them, yeah, this is how the Roma is. Yeah, but some of those things are responses given to the structural exclusion and structural racism that these young people have been facing for years, basically. So our research finding, for example, also says that discrimination harms the sense of self of the young person. It then leads to anxiety, to severe depression, a lot of trauma responses, not just on the mental health level, but also on the physical level, as you also said, anger, like holding these emotions inside and not even verbalizing them or not even understanding them inside yourself is already bottled up situation. So a lot of negativity there when it comes to discrimination, racism, and inclusion, anti-Gypsyism. Let's put the word there. It's also, for example, what came out in our research is that there are not enough support, as you said. Even if there are support, there is no trust. Because like there are, for example, in Germany, I'm from Germany. In Germany, there are, if you consider them supports, there are some support mechanisms, but the access, the outreach, and how culturally sensitive they are, it's questionable. And even if they are, there is a barrier between the community, like between the young people, and these support mechanisms due to this institutional trust, basically, because they don't trust. And I understand this perfectly. I mean, if you have been put in a position of a less human for ages, what makes you trust an institution that will help you with your well-being? Very hard. We have some positive findings also. For example, one thing that came very important in our research is that, yes, discrimination impacts us. Confirmed, everybody knows, simple logic, it's there. But it was also appearing that inclusion has more impact on the well-being of young Roma when it comes to this. This was super interesting for me because we are very tend to put anti-discrimination obviously in a very forward, yeah, because everything we do is anti-discrimination. In youth work, we target anti-discrimination measures. Again, I'm coming from Germany, everything is based on anti-discrimination. But nobody thinks about actually including these young people, actually giving them a space, actually listening or seeing what they experience. And then, okay, let's fight with discrimination, sure, of course, but what about inclusion? And our research says that this discrimination does not directly have an impact on the mental health of young people, but it mediates through three different things. For example, feeling of connection. Yeah, how connected as young people, as you also said, because they go behind the doors, they do not talk with other people, or they avoid contacting, I don't know, the majority society, maybe sometimes their own friends or family, because we also had these experiences. So it says when the young people feel less connected to other people, their well-being deteriorates a little bit. The second thing that we found was the self-controllability. So how much say I have in my own life. I don't, because I go to a municipality and I'm discriminated. I go to school, I'm discriminated. So how much agency I am having in my own life, this was also an impact. The less agency I had, the worse well-being it was. And the final thing, which you will love this point, I would say, is the internalized racism. Yeah, this was an impact. So our research says that discrimination impacts the sense of self of young persons in these ways: less connection, less control over my choices, my life, and how internalized all those racist comments, racial slurs, everything that has been taught to me, how much I internalize them. And then we were also asking ourselves in youth work, because we are a youth work, I'm a youth worker and I do youth work, we were asking ourselves, what can we do? Because I'm not a psychologist. I cannot go in a room with a young Roma and try to do a therapy with a young person. But I still have responsibilities. And this is actually an interesting question that I was having in mind. Where do you think psychologists, the role of psychologists ends and youth work starts?
And start?
And starts. Where is this time? Because we were, during the project, we were also discussing, okay, there are things that I can do as a youth worker, but they are very limited, no? Because at some point, I cross that line and it goes to a very therapeutic interaction, which I should not be having with a young person, no? In that cases.
Yeah.
But we were also thinking, where does it stop? Because in our experience in all this project, it also came up. Not many people have access to psychologists or to therapists, or even heard something like this, because there is also a little bit of stigma. Mental health stigma is a general thing, also the majority society has. But also within the community, there is not a big understanding of mental health, first of all, and then it's also that, no, we don't trust anyway. So it was a very thin line on how in the youth work we work with this topic, because now it's becoming a very important topic, no? But it's a question, maybe you can tell us how, on your experience.
I mean, I'm very glad that you're asking this question, because we were asking the same questions our participants in our qualitative research, and we asked them if they would be interested to visit a psychologist related to that topic. And guess what? All of them said yes. They said yes, we would go, to see a psychologist and talk about this issue with an expert, because it influenced our life. But half of them said that, but I would prefer to go to a psychologist with a different ethnic background, or with Romani identity, or with somebody who has common experiences as me, or is somehow informed about this topic. And the rest of the participants said that, I don't care, if the psychologist is good and informed about the issues, then, I can trust to him, I would visit him and I would go there. And I think that this is the more important part that needs to be pointed out, that I don't know how is it in your country, but in our country, in Czech Republic, I'm not aware of uh, that there would be some kind of training for psychotherapists or for psychologists to be prepared to work with clients with um, different than majority ethnic or cultural background, and yeah, and I think that this is something that we would need to concentrate on, and maybe also on a systematic level to do some changes, because when you go through the psychotherapy training, uh, the psychotherapy training consists also from the different kind of modules where you teach about some specific things. I would appreciate to find among the psychotherapy trainings that are provided in our countries also the trainings that would include the topic of the impact of discrimination and racism on mental health of people in order to prepare the psychotherapists for that to be able to provide the psychotherapy for the victims, but not just for the victims of racially motivated violent attacks, which is something what we also discovered within our research, that most of our participants experience not just racially motivated attacks, but also life-threatening experience. And in Czech Republic, it was also connected with the skinheads movement that was happening in our country since 90s till 2017 or something, you know. And they were talking about these racially motivated attacks and threats that were caused by skinheads movement. That they were experiencing it as children, but also they were experiencing it through their parents and through the whole community, and that is something what is traumatizing for them. And we could say that some of our participants had symptoms of racial trauma, which is something, you know, that could be described as a different kind of symptoms, like, you know, not just avoidance, but also avoiding things, avoiding places, avoiding people, but also symptoms of dissociations, you know, symptoms of depressions, symptoms of anxiety.
Hypervigilance
Yeah,
came out.
it was
Hypervigilance came
something,
out. Yeah.
exactly something really strongly visible among almost all of our participants. Um, and yeah, and I think that, you know, that these people or any people from minorities who experience such things in their lives should be given proper um, psychological support. But I'm afraid that we are not prepared for that as a psychologist, especially in Eastern European countries. I don't know how is it
No,
in
it's
your
in Germany.
country.
It's the same.
In Germany, it's the
Yeah,
same.
and it's Germany, yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
same.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
I think that this is something that we would need on a systematic level. But to say some positive thing, I teach a subject at the Faculty of Psychology at Masaryk University in Brno. I teach a future psychologist the subject called discrimination and mental health, and I include these topics, you know, in to that subject, and the students really appreciate the content of my lessons. So I think that we could do things on individual basis, but also on institutional level, and maybe on some systemic level. But there is still a lot of work in
There
front
is
of us.
there is a lot of work
Yeah.
in this project. We also gave some policy recommendations, both in national levels but also to the EU. And this was one of the policy recommendations that we were also given in Germany. Teachers, school mediators, psychologists, police, yeah, everything that the young people are interacting or seeking support should be trained on this racism, anti-Gypsyism, what are these things? Yeah, or anti-Semitism, etc. So if without knowing that, because it also happened like in our interviews, we had interviews with young Roma and also the youth workers that are working with them, and there most of them were asked for the first time in their lives a question about mental health, and it was a it was like, what do you mean, first of all, and then it was like we had to explain what is mental health, what is well-being, etc., etc., and then they started to think and reflect on these things. And then multiple interviews that I was reading, one recurring thing was that young people were very appreciative of being asked such a question, but then also being listened, because they were saying, we just need a space to tell our story, to tell someone what's happening to us, and we just need to be heard. So this also gave us the direction in our project, like which direction we go. Okay, we have this research, we have this result, some result, like very important and insightful results, but what do I do now with these results? And then we were asking them, what do you need? Because nobody ever asks them, what do you need? And then they were telling us, a room. In, for example, in a youth center, they were telling us, I need a room where I can be with a youth worker and tell what happened today at the school, how it's impacting me, what can I do, etc., etc. So safe spaces, I don't know, giving them that sense of belonging to something was very important. Being heard, being listened was very important. So I am very glad that we came up with this idea, but I am sure you also have similar things that you heard from young people, maybe, no?
Yeah. I just want to support that, we have a lot of data about the institutional racism, about what Romani people experience related to racism, but nobody asks Roma how do they feel on emotional level. How do they feel? Just simple question. How do you feel related to that issues that you are experiencing? So when we conducted our focus groups, people wanted to share everything, and especially when the focus group was led by two Romani psychologists, and they were very open, and they were sharing a lot of things, and we could do like hundreds of these researches. But I would like to also get to some positive point of the result, that they were mentioning the coping mechanism they use to overcome these experiences, and some of them were telling that they did not plan to be activists, but because they were experiencing these things and people around them experiencing the racism and discrimination on daily basis, they decided to be active somehow. They wanted to support it, Romanian people around them. So many of them became active, civically active, and engage in civil activism. But some of them also used to say that what helped them is that they build the social status and the education.
Yeah, definitely.
It's something that gives them more self-confidence, but also the bigger picture of the world, and also help them to control their reactive emotions, or it helped them also to control some kind of reactive reactions to the experiences with racism. For example, they go for shopping in the shop, they go shopping in the shop, and there is this security guy who is following them in the shop, and they try to find a different kind of copings, with these situations, like they use a humor, They use like control of their emotions, even though they feel from inside that they would like to scream, you know, but they don't do it. So they try to build the self-control. This is something that it on one side it could be like very exhausting,
Yeah, definitely.
but on the other side it's something that could help you. And here is this, you know, ambivalence that you could see within this coping mechanism, that I think that for some people would be very good to give them not just mental health support, but also give them tools or different kind of coping or reactions to different kind of situations that they experience. And this is somewhere where we could work together, you as a youth worker, me as a psychologist or as a lecturer, but also a person who has same experiences. Uh, and yeah, and what was really what was also described as a effective coping mechanism is that I mean, all of our participants receive support from the family and from the friends. And this is something where we Roma have power, because we can support each other within the families. Because when we say families in Roma culture, it's not just mom, dad, and children, but it's a wider family like cousins, aunties, uncles, you know, and this community support is something what they described is really helpful. Yeah. And this is something that we could do together. It is something that it's already working.
Definitely.
But in some cases, you know, I could see also within my client that come to my sessions that a lot of them using medications without proper psychotherapeutic approach, you know. And I think that this is also issue. I don't know how is it in different countries, but this is also an issue that is undiscovered. I mean, there is no research related to the topic, because in our countries we do not collect ethnic data. But I think that we should do some kind of research related to the topic.
Now, in our case, for example, there are limits within youth work. So this like our idea, what we had was never on the diagnosal side, but more of prevention and intervention. It could go like this a little bit, but listening you, I am already having this this comes to my mind. I think young people already tell us what we should do. You know, like they give us the map. We just need to do it. We being the youth workers, we being the psychologists, teachers, whichever space the young people are going on a daily basis, they actually are giving us the light. We just need to take it and work with it. Because, for example, in our interviews, also in our research, a lot of the time what came was that young people who have a little bit of more positive sense of self are more resilient. Not resilient in the sense that okay, we are not affected from discrimination at all, not in that sense, but resilience in the sense that I go home tonight to my home with my big family and I feel still supported in a way somehow. So family connection, friendship connection, so feeling connected to other people was very important. And this doesn't necessarily mean that as a young Roma I am connected to the majority people. No, but young Roma have a lot of people around them from their community that they feel connected. So this was a very big finding for us as well. A lot of the interviews, they were saying that yes, we want a space, we want to go where other young Roma is going. There are events that happen organized by different networks. They want to join there because it's a shared meaning at the end. And then this also made us think, where is our work lying at this point? Again, I am speaking from the youth work perspective, but it lies on creating a sense of safety, creating a sense of belonging, working with the identity of the young people. Super, super, super important. increasing, like at least trying to increase the emotional intelligence that they have, being able to be tuned in their own feelings, being able to articulate or understand what's going on inside them, and healthy coping mechanisms with this. And then where I can work as a youth worker is agency. How much agency I am given in a non-formal education setting, because I am the facilitator, they are the young people, there is a power hierarchy everywhere. But as a youth worker, how much we are reflecting on how much agency we are given in the room to the young people to lead the session, actually, for example. So there are, within youth work at least, for me, it's a little bit more clear than the psychologist, how to navigate or where to go, because I'm thinking, I always had these things in mind. Discrimination will happen, unfortunately. And I'm just a youth worker. Obviously, I can file a complaint in the municipality that you just discriminated my young person. No, he comes to me or she comes to me. They tell me they are discriminated. What I can do in my own power with the municipality, let's say, is to file a complaint, or I need still a collectivity. But then I cannot end the discrimination. But I can work in your self-esteem so you are not that affected on a daily basis by this discrimination. I think the power that at least I have as a youth worker lies on developing self-agency, self-esteem, self-efficacy, or self-determination of the young people, so that they are less impacted or affected by this internalized racism. Because then maybe this is something I can work with to tell them that this is not, so it's like it's not this is something done to you. It's not a truth about who you are actually, but it's done by the system, by other people, etc. So my power lies in a way in this part.
You know, maybe I will say something at the end that I have a dream.
Okay, well, I mean, you cannot end it better than this, I would say.
I have a dream that we will have more Romani psychologists among us. And I would like to, you know, encourage young Romani people, young Romani men and women to go to study psychology, because it's a very interesting and fascinating subject that you can learn a lot of things.
And if it happens that you are not able to go in psychology, you can always become a youth worker with clear boundaries between psychology and youth work, and you can work on a similar field. No?
It's beautiful end.